because organic. Dear students, you are welcome in this class. And now we will discuss soil organic matter. And as you know that it is very, very important, soil organic matter these days. And it is directly related to food security of any country, not just India. Your organic matter will be quite useful in many ways. One way is that you will sequester the carbon in soil. You can reduce the atmospheric carbon if you can sequester the carbon into the soil. Second thing is, if you can sequester the carbon into the soil in the form of organic matter, then you will reduce the environmental pollution of carbon dioxide. You will help in reducing the ill effect of climate change, or it will partly mitigate climate changes or reduce the problem of climate change. And on the other hand, it will improve the soil health. On the one hand, the sequestration of carbon or addition of organic matter into the soil will reduce the pollution of the environment, but at the same time, it will improve the fertility of the soil. So therefore, it is in interest of food security. So organic matter is really very, very important, and it plays wonderful role. And what kind of role it is playing? But even today, it is very neglected part by the farmers, very neglected by people. You can see this picture I clicked from a village, from Indian village, and you can see what is happening to organic matter. This is very, very valued organic matter. On one side, you can see these are the structures where people make your upla or kanda, whatever name you call, that is the fuel, and they make it from the dung of the cattle or buffalo, and that is used for fuel purpose. So it is common picture in villages, and you can also see some people have tori or this loofah, ridge guard is there growing on these structures. So wastage of organic matter as a fuel. And then you can see this is the kind of manure collection in villages, heap method. And then this is rainy season. I tell you, in rainy season, most of the things and nutrients of this organic manure will be washed away. So this is really very poor management by the farmers. So this is happening to organic matter. So had they prepared a pit or a trench, and then in that pit or trench at higher place, they could have conserved this organic matter. So lot of organic matter is going waste. Otherwise, it could have been added to the soil after well decomposition. So we will learn in detail about soil organic matter. This is very, very important, and some abbreviations I may be using in this presentation, and many times people write these abbreviations. C for carbon, IC for inorganic carbon, OC organic carbon, inorganic matter. Organic carbon is always confined to organic matter. Means carbon present in organic matter is organic carbon. Total organic carbon, TOC. This is total carbon. TOC means total. TO for total, or C for carbon. So this is total carbon, organic carbon plus inorganic carbon. Now you got one equipment, one instrument is there. In environmental science, you have TOC analyzer. It is also there in soil science. Total carbon analyzer. You can analyze inorganic carbon and organic carbon, and also total carbon by TOC analyzer. The name of the equipment is TOC analyzer. However, in normally soil samples, we analyze carbon by Walkley and Black method. That is chromic acid oxidation method. OM is for organic matter, and SOM is for soil organic matter. So OM is organic matter, any organic matter above the soil or which is away from the soil. It is your organic matter. But once organic matter is there into the soil, it becomes your soil organic matter. Soil organic carbon. SOM, if you want to convert SOC into SOM, you can do it. Soil organic matter is equal to soil organic carbon into 1.724. If you multiply soil organic carbon by 1.724, you can remember this factor. This is asked in quiz exams. Because you can assume that 58% of carbon in organic matter. So 100 divided by 58, you get the factor 1.724. Thus, many times people use them interchangeably. Sometimes I can call it organic carbon, soil organic carbon, or soil organic matter. So you can call either of these. But we should know the relationship between these two. And and if you want to know SOC, so SOM is divided by 1.724, you can get SOC, soil organic carbon. Some terminology for your clarifications. Fulvic acid, humic acid, and humin. These three compounds are part of humus. So actually humus is made up of three compounds: fulvic acid, humic acid, and humin. So what is fulvic acid? Light yellow colored material that remains in solution after separating humic acid from humus by acidification. So you will see how we separate fulvic acid, humic acid, and humin, and what are the differences between these three parts of humus. It is less dense, more aliphatic, and has a low molecular weight. Then hemicellulose. So hemicellulose is a kind of carbohydrate. It consists of polymers that are branched, the second most common carbohydrate, and up to 30% in plant residues. Pectin is an example of hemicellulose. Humic acid, like fulvic acid, humic acid, dark colored organic material. In the case of fulvic acid, you can say it was light yellow colored, and humic acid is dark colored organic material extracted from soil by various reagents, dilute alkali, and is precipitated by acid. It has a relatively high molecular weight, higher than fulvic acid. Humification. Humification means simply it is formation of humus, or production of humus by decomposition is your humification. So process by which carbon of organic substances is transformed. Transformed means converted from one form to another form and resynthesized to humic substances. That is your humification. Humus. Humus equals fulvic acid, humin, and humic acid. Often used to describe soil organic matter, it is generally dark in color. Labile. What is labile? Labile is used as a prefix before many compounds or many subjects. A substance that is quickly transformed. Labile means quickly transformed or used by microbes. Labile organic matter, labile carbon, labile phosphorus, like that. Labile organic matter is associated with the active organic carbon. Labile organic matter is associated with the active organic carbon. Active organic carbon means carbon that can be easily and quickly acted upon by the microbes. That is your active carbon. Active organic carbon. Now, microbial biomass, I think I told it before also. It includes biomass of weight of all the microbes that are there in the soil, like bacteria, fungi, protozoa, algae, actinomycetes, nematodes, non-living organisms, plants, and viruses. Soil carbon sequestration. This is important. And now I want to know from you, what do you mean by soil carbon sequestration? Yes. Subhanshu, what is?
Storage of carbon in soil.
Okay, that is not enough. That is one part. That is one part. I want complete understanding. See, you can have organic matter in farmyard manure. You can apply farmyard manure. You can apply farmyard manure to the soil, and part of this will be sequestered, will be stored in the soil. That will also be carbon storage. So will it be sequestration? Okay, no problem. All the three can understand. It is actually harvesting. First, you need to harvest carbon from the atmosphere, And then after harvesting, how it can be harvested? It can be harvested by green plants. And then these green plant can be converted into compost or manure. And then that can be added into soil. This is one way. Other way is that you can harvest the plant and take the economic part, and then you have a straw or a stover, and that can be mixed into the soil. So actually, this carbon was harvested through photosynthesis from the atmosphere, and then same assimilated carbon, which is there in the organic matter in plant, is mixed into the soil, applied into the soil, and then part of that will be retained in the soil, and part will again go back to the atmosphere after decomposition. In 1 year, more than 50% of the carbon applied to the soil will be decomposed and will be leaving the soil. It will go back to atmosphere. So you can see this definition. Please do not mind. The carbon dioxide from the atmosphere is converted. So when you explain carbon sequestration, you should start with photosynthesis. So the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere is converted to organic carbon by photosynthesis, and the decomposition of that plant carbon into organic matter stored in soil. I think you can read it again and try to understand. The carbon dioxide from the atmosphere is converted to organic carbon by photosynthesis. Means it will come into plant tissues. It may be in leaf, it may be in stem or the other parts of the plant. And then you will apply these plant parts into the soil directly or indirectly by making their manure. And then after application, some carbon will leave to the atmosphere back, and some will be retained in the soil for long-term storage. And then that proportion will be carbon sequestration. Is it clear, the sequestration of carbon?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Good. Now, total carbon. Already you know what is total carbon, organic and inorganic carbon. So total of all forms of carbon present in soil, microbial carbon, particulate organic carbon, you will know it, fulvic acid, humic acid, humin, non-humified, and calcium magnesium carbonate. So most of the 99% of carbon is in carbonates. The inorganic form, so far inorganic form is concerned, it is mostly in carbonates like calcium carbonate, magnesium carbonate. So these are the forms of inorganic carbon. Please do remember, forms of inorganic carbon in soil are calcium carbonate, magnesium carbonate, and there may be some small other kind of carbonate like sodium carbonate, bicarbonate, whatever they are there. So they are in small fractions, but major part is calcium and magnesium carbonates. Now I want to show you how this organic matter is important for plants. How organic matter is important for the plant. I'm just explaining, linking the role of organic matter to you. So suppose you have plants, you can get any plant. The growth of the plant is affected by many factors. So these factors may be external factor or internal factor. Internal factor are genetic factors. For example, hybrid plants, they grow tall, they have more tillers, they have more vegetative growth than the traditional varieties. Or internal or genetic factor, you can see eucalyptus plant. It has gene that make it very tall, very strong, and it contains high quantity of dry matter. Similarly, you also get plants like wheat or maize. They are much smaller. So this genetic constitution also decides the growth. So this is genetic, this is a different thing. Now you see external factors, some external factor which is outside the crop, outside the plant. They also affect the growth of the plant. In external factor, you have environmental factors, management factors. So these management factors are with the farmer. If he manages the crop well, it will have good growth. If farmer is not able to put good management, the growth of the crop will be poor. Socioeconomic factors like farmers are not educated. They are poor farmers. So the growth of the crop will be affected by socioeconomic status of the farmer. A farmer who is rich, he can afford resources better than the farmer who is poor, who do not have money. So he will have money, he will buy inputs, resources. So his growth of his crop will be better. So management, socio-economic, environmental factors, they affect the growth of the plants. In environmental factors, you have two, abiotic and biotic. So biotic factors like insect pests, disease, and weeds. So they will affect the growth. And if you manage them, if you maintain them, or if you control them, then you can get better growth. And if biotic factors are not controlled, you will get poor growth. Then comes your abiotic factor under environmental factor. It includes wants plus light. Wants is your water, air, nutrients, temperature, and soil plus light. So wants plus light, water, air, nutrients, temperature, and soil, or somewhere to grow. So you can see soil. So among so many factors that affect the growth of the plant, you also see soil as an important factor. Very, very important factor, this soil. And in the soil, organic matter is very, very important. That will affect the growth. Organic matter can affect the water availability. Organic matter will have interaction with other abiotic and biotic factors. I can tell you how this organic matter will have. It will have interaction with water. Because if you add organic matter, if you increase organic matter in soil, the water availability will increase. I have shown you. If you have drought and if you have more organic matter in soil, you will have some quantity of water in the soil. Then comes your air. For air also, this organic matter is important. You have already known that you can sequester carbon and some of the carbon can be stored in the soil. Nutrients. Organic matter supplies nutrients to the soil. On decomposition, it will release nutrients. Then temperature. Organic matter means you can use organic mulch. You can have higher organic matter in the soil. Then that soil can moderate temperature better. The soil which is having higher organic matter content can moderate soil temperature better than other kind of soil. So overall, you can see biotic factors. Even if you have good organic matter, you will have better microbial activity in the soil. So organic matter is very, very important. And not only this, because two of you are from environmental science. You want to protect the environment, and one person is from chemicals. You want to add chemicals. You are from environmental science. You want your environment good, but other person from agricultural chemicals want to pollute your environment. He likes to pollute your soil, but there is Dinesh Kumar who would like to neutralize the effect of chemicals added by agricultural chemical person. So Dinesh Kumar is agronomist. He will add organic matter into the soil. And this will be loved by both. Even agricultural chemical person will like that if you add organic matter into the soil, the effect of heavy metals, effect of pesticide can be minimized. There are a number of approaches to reduce the chemical load on soil, to reduce the pollution of soil. But one approach could be addition of organic matter. So now you can see the soil composition. Soil composition. Here I want to show you that what is the proportion of organic matter in the soil. So you can see this circle. In soil, on an average, 50% are pore spaces. 50% is porosity. Taking a typical example. However, it will vary from one soil to other soil, from one climate to another climate. But this is just average. 50% are pores and 50% is solid part. So in the pores, assume that 25% is water and 25% is air. And they are in equilibrium. If you take the water out, air will increase. If you put the water into the soil, air will decrease. So they are in equilibrium. So suppose your water becomes 20%, then air will become how much? 30%. Total will be 50. If you make water as 35%, then air will become 15%. So they are in equilibrium. And then next is 45% mineral and 5% organic matter. And as I already told to you, the total carbon include inorganic carbon and organic carbon. Organic carbon is present in soil organic matter fraction, already discussed, whereas inorganic carbon is largely found in carbonate minerals. Organic matter in soil can be estimated by multiplying carbon by 1.724, and the range is 1.724 to 2. It will depend upon percentage of carbon in organic matter. But in India, in many places, we consider it as 1.724. This factor is taken in India. However, if you take less carbon percentage, then the value of this factor will increase. If you take 56% carbon, then value will be different. But this value is at 58% carbon. Now this organic matter, 5% organic matter, although the content is just 5%, but it will affect physical, chemical, and biological properties of the soil. On the right side, you can see many times students get confused that what properties of soil are part of the physical property, part under physical properties of the soil. So physical property of the soil include texture, structure, aggregation, color, water retention, etc. So these are all physical, and some more are there. Flocculation, deflocculation, and your compaction, soil compaction, etc. So these are all physical properties of the soil, and they are influenced by organic matter. And then biological soil properties means the content and variety of organism in the soil. That is your soil biological property. Soil biological property basically includes soil organism plus root activities. Then chemical soil properties, pH. pH is a chemical soil property. EC, electrical conductivity. CEC, cation exchange capacity. Nutrient contents, the status of nutrient in soil. Interaction of soil organic matter and minerals. So soil organic matter will interact with minerals, particularly clay minerals. So all these properties are part of chemical soil properties. And remember, organic matter is in confusion. If you go to a soil physicist, the scientist who work in soil physics, he would say organic matter is a physical property because it is changing many physical properties of the soil. If you go to a microbiologist, he will say, no, this organic matter is a biological property of the soil because it is being attacked by microbes. And then chemistry people will say, no, it is releasing the nutrients. Therefore, it is chemical property. It is changing the pH. It is affecting chemical property. Therefore, organic matter is part of chemical properties of the soil. So such kind of thing is happening. But overall, what I perceive, and on scanning of the literature, I found that most people consider it as a chemical property. So organic matter can be all the three properties, but strictly speaking, it is mostly a chemical property of the soil. Now, I was talking about role of organic matter in soil pollution. I was talking that two are environmentalists, one is chemist and other is agronomist. So how they can interact, how this organic matter addition to the soil will satisfy all. So soil pollutants and their sources and how this organic matter is important. So because these pollutants and these chemicals, if you know about organic farming, they are undesirable. So from that perspective, just in one slide, I want to discuss some relevant issues. So what are the pollutants in soil? So the pollutants may be heavy metals, maybe they are salts. Aluminium, arsenic, beryllium, and fluorine, etc. can be pollutants in soil. Besides heavy metals, radionuclides can be there and many more. Your polythenes, your other chemicals, herbicides, pesticides, all variety of pollutants are there. Now, question is next to is C, the B, sources. Where from these pollutants are coming to the soil? They may come from parent materials like heavy metals or aluminum, fluoride, arsenic. They can come from the parent material. I assume that you understand parent material. Parent materials are the bedrocks or rocks from which your soil is formed, and they are on the bottom of the soil, and they are still under the process of decomposition and weathering. So parent material, the nature of parent material will decide nature of soil and pollutants. Atmospheric deposits can also contribute, can be a source of pollutants. Fertilizer, manure, and pesticide can be sources. Municipal waste without treatment and sewage sludge, and many more can be source of pollutants in soil. Now, if pollutants have entered your soil, how they are going to affect the soil? Effects on soil. So they affect some physical, chemical, and biological properties. These heavy metals will affect, or other kind of pollutants like polythene, they can affect certain physical, chemical, and biological property. And definitely biological property. You know, biological property means your microbes will die. If you have chemicals in the soil, heavy metals in the soil, microbes will die. So biological activity will be affected in the soil. And so far, chemical activity is concerned, certain heavy metals can compete for uptake of the nutrient. Suppose nutrient requirement is for zinc. Zinc is there, but I'm not sure. But if some other heavy metal like arsenic or CaCs, cobalt is heavy metal. Cobalt is heavy metal or not?
Yes, sir.
It is heavy metal. Okay. So
Yes,
what happens? These heavy metals can substitute for the uptake of essential nutrients. So instead of essential nutrient, plant will get these heavy metals, and these heavy metals can adversely affect the growth of the plant because plant wanted to have zinc, but zinc could not reach the plant. Instead, a poisonous heavy metal has been removed by the plant instead of zinc. So plant will have zinc deficiency, one thing, and secondly, it will have toxicity of the heavy metal. And thirdly, this heavy metal will go to the human beings, it can go to the animals, and it can be circulated in the system. So therefore, this chemical properties of the soil are also affected. These heavy metals, pesticide, they will interact with the chemicals in the soil. It is very big subject. So overall, these pollutants, we know the sources, and they are going to affect the soil properties, physical, chemical, and biological. If soil physical properties are affected, then what will be the result on the plant? You see point D, plant growth may be adversely affected. So I need not to go into the details. You can see how these pollutants will adversely affect the plant growth. They can affect nutrient uptake, they can affect microbes and so many things. Now, if your plant growth is affected, these heavy metals, poisons, pesticides are accumulated in the plant, then what will be effect of their effect on humans, animals, and your atmosphere? So food products may not be safe and quality may be poor, and many more things will be affected. And then what can be done? This is for environmental people. I'm not expert. You can go for monitoring. Let us monitor if our soils are really polluted or not. So physical and chemical and biological methods are there to test the soils for pollution. What kind and up to what extent our soil is polluted. So there are so many methods for monitoring of the soil. Environmental people might be knowing, but I do not know. But I know that some monitoring can be done. And once the monitoring is done, once we know the status of pollutants and their extent, then we need to remove it. We need to ameliorate the soil. We need to overcome these pollutants from the soil. So that is called as remediation. So now we need to remediate these polluted soils. So prevention and several other approaches are there. Prevention can be done. Don't allow sewage sludge water. Don't allow polythene into your field. So don't allow with polluted irrigation water. Such preventive measures can be taken. And then some ameliorative measures, some curative measures are taken. So like crop, soil, water, and organic manure. So certain crops can be grown. I think you know how this remediation of heavy metals, pollutants can be done. I'm not going to the details, but you can see yourself. But there are techniques to remediate such soils. And one approach, very small approach, is organic matter management. So if you add organic matter into the soil, it can reduce soil pollution. It can neutralize the ill effect or bad effects of pollutants on the plant growth up to some extent. It will sequester the carbon with many other additional benefits. Many other additional benefits. So therefore, Organic matter is important and we should add organic matter into the soil, but we should know some details of the organic matter. What is organic matter? What are its components? Or what is making organic matter? How it is divided? How it is decomposed? How two pathways of humification and mineralization happen? And how it is decomposed under two conditions, aerobic condition and anaerobic condition. And what are the end products of decomposition of organic matter? And finally, what are the roles of organic matter? We will discuss in brief, and I will finish this topic today itself. So now 5 minutes more are there. I will continue, and then I will send you last link, and then we will finish this topic. So as you know that organic matter is made up of carbon, and really carbon as such is very, very wonderful. Let us see, before going into the details of organic matter and organic carbon, let us see role of carbon, importance of carbon, why carbon is important. So now you see value of carbon. Carbon bonds form the skeleton for all living things. You know, all living things are made up of carbon. Without carbon, no life is possible. Even your viruses, I think viruses also contain carbon. Carbon is the second element by weight in human body, and 40% of dry weight in plants is carbon. Maybe more than 40%. This is just a mean value. It can be up to 50%. In organic materials, carbon can be 58%. Just now we have seen. So this is just very, very raw, very rough value. However, it can be 42%, 45% also. The next important point is it forms million of compounds. No other element will make as large number of compound as your carbon. So it forms million of compound. Some are common like carbon dioxide, you see everywhere. Others are very precious resources like diamond. Your diamond is pure carbon. Petroleum, variety of petroleum products are there. All have carbon. Natural gas, you can go on counting the carbon compounds. They are numerous in number. See the plant, carbohydrate, proteins, lipids, fats, vitamins, everything is made up of carbon. So you can see the inorganic form also, in organic form. Under both forms, you will find a lot of carbon, carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, or methane, ethane, propane, butane, whatnot. So you can get diamond. Diamond is also carbon. Your coal is also carbon. So it is the fourth most abundant element in the universe. It is the fourth most abundant element in the universe. So now we come to the soil organic matter because it contains carbon and the carbon cycle. So in carbons, carbon may remain in a particular form for thousands of years. If you see diamond, if you see coal, if you see your fossil fuels, your petroleum products, these petroleum products which are there in Saudi Arabia, Europe, or Russia, wherever they were formed millions of years back. Do you know it? These petroleum products were not made today or were not made 2000 years back. They were made millions of years back. So it can remain in a particular form for thousands of years, and it can be transformed into countless variation as it passes through land, water, and atmosphere. When it cycles, so it can pass through different forms. For example, the carbon cycle includes three important processes. You need to remember three important processes. One is carbon is in storage. It is stored. It can be stored in sediments. Sediments, you understand, the suspended material in water, and that can settle on the floor. Sediments, soils, fossil fuels, there are different forms of carbon storage. It can be stored in oceans in different forms. Then in transition form, some carbon can be in the transition form, carbon transitioning from one form to another form. It can be in atmosphere, it can be in carbon compounds in plant, animal life, and so it is in transitioning phase. Suppose it was in atmosphere, it has come to the plant. From plant, it can be applied to the soil, and then the last process is decomposition. The process that causes carbon to change, that is your decomposition. I will send you the link. So you have seen that three processes are very, very important, and one is storage, other is transition, and third one is the decomposition. These three processes are very, very important. So you can see that photosynthesis and respiration are very important part of the carbon cycle. So you can see here on the right cycle, photosynthesis in the presence of light, water, and air or carbon dioxide. They make their food, green plant make their food, and then this carbon can be fixed in these plants, and these plants can be eaten by human being, animals, or they can be directly added into soil, they can be made into manures and so on. And finally, they will decompose, and part of them will be stored in soil. And similarly, cycle can go to other ecosystems also. So overall, you can see three processes are very, very important: photosynthesis, respiration, and decomposition. So photosynthesis, you know, green plant tissues capture sun's energy to power a reaction combining carbon dioxide and water and produce glucose and other compounds, carbon compounds. And in respiration, this glucose or organic materials are consumed and energy is received. And then certain decomposing compounds are made, and then organic matter is decomposed. So in respiration also, actually, you are decomposing organic matter, but it is in the living system. It is in the living system. Outside the living system, you have decomposition. So decomposition is also a key process. You can see here, when organic roots are there or organic matter is added to the soil, then decomposition will happen. So what is there in decomposition? It breaks down the carbon compounds produced during growth. So those carbon compounds in organic matter are added into the soil, or they are getting converted into manure. So what happens? These sugars, starch, protein, cellulose, fats, and lignin. Actually, these chemical forms are broken down into small forms. This is your decomposition. So it results in energy for macro and microorganisms. So these microorganisms are not doing decomposition in charity. They are doing it to get energy, and they are also doing it to get nutrients. So it results in energy. This energy can be used by microbes, animals. Some animals in soil, they can eat the organic matter, and then they can use some material for their growth, and finally they can use it as a food, and then this food will be converted into usable forms, and then they will get energy. So these animals, arthropods, fungus, nematodes, bacteria are digesting organic matter to get energy and nutrients. Carbon dioxide and stable organic matter are products of decomposition. Carbon dioxide will escape from the soil, and some reaction water will be formed that will remain in soil, and stable organic matter, that is your humus. Humus will be formed in decomposition, through decomposition. Now, what are the issues here? One is carbon levels in atmosphere are increasing, and mainly because of human activities and partly by agriculture. Main activity is burning fossil fuels and making cement. And there may be many more industrial uses of fossil fuels. Carbon is stored underground for thousands of years, returned to atmosphere. So this is also important, carbon storage. We want this atmosphere carbon should be harvested and stored in soil. In what ways could life around us be affected by increased carbon in atmosphere? What will happen if carbon is atmosphere? That you know, global warming, climate change. So these are the issues. For the time being, you just forget them. Now we come to soil organic matter. How to define it? So on the basis of organic matter content, soil are classified into two: mineral soils and organic soils. So what is the difference in mineral soil and organic soil? Mineral soil in world's cultivated land trace to 30% organic matter. Means if your soil contains less than 30% organic matter, of course it is too high. Normally soils in India contain 0.5%, 0.4%, 0.6% organic matter, soil organic matter. But in Europe or in temperate countries, soil can contain 4%, 5% organic matter also. But it is very difficult to have 8%, 10%, 20%, 30% organic matter in cultivated soils. So actually non-cultivated soil, marshy soils, marshy lands have higher organic matter content. But classification is there. Soils containing more than 30% organic matter are organic soils, and soils containing less than 30% organic matter are means up to 29.99%, they are mineral soil, and if it is 30 or more, then it is your organic soil. Now, what is soil organic matter? Soil organic matter is any material produced originally by living organisms. See, the origin of organic matter is always from living organisms, whether it is plant, whether it is animal, bacteria, whatsoever it is. So it is origin is always from living things, plant or animal. That is that is returned to the soil and goes through the decomposition process. So finally, it will be returned to the soil, or part of organic matter is returned to the soil and goes through the decomposition processes. At any given time, it consists of a range of materials from the intact original tissues of plants and animals to the substantially decomposed mixture of materials known as humus. So this is, friends, complete definition of soil organic matter. You will find variety of definitions of organic matter, but this is the perfect definition which also define or characterizing the organic matter. So it is complete definition. SOM is any material produced originally by living organism, maybe plant or animal, that is returned to the soil. Means soil organic matter will be only the organic matter which is returned to the soil and goes through the decomposition process in the soil. At any given time, it consists of a range of material. Means organic matter in soil will include the original intact tissues. They are also part of organic matter of plants or animal, intact tissues, or decomposed, partly decomposed or fully decomposed. All are added to call soil organic matter. Now, organic matter, matter arising from living matter. This is the literal meaning of organic matter. Matter arising from living matter is your organic matter. In chemistry and soil science, referring more specifically to matter relating, if you see chemistry, matter relating to or containing carbon compounds. So therefore, many times, soil chemist, we have one soil chemist who will call urea as an organic fertilizer because it contains carbon. So according to some people, urea is organic fertilizer, but that is not the case. More specifically, organic matter is composed of living and dead biomass, mainly of plant origin. Now see, classification of soil organic matter. It is classified into three groups. Unaltered material, just intact, that may include fresh debris or non-transformed compound of older debris. That can be easily identified, unaltered material. But partially decomposed organic matter may also be there, like crop residues, which are partly decomposed. You can see on the right side, some are partly decomposed, black one, and the other one are freshly added in the picture. So partially decomposed organic residues or organic matter at various degree of decomposition. In morphology, you can identify by morphology of plant material is still visible. Third one is transformed product, that is your humus, bearing no morphological resemblance to the structure from which it was made. consists of both humic and non-humic substances and can be of two types. So here, if somebody asks you what is organic matter, it includes your three things: unaltered material that you have just added, and it is intact. Second is partially decomposed organic matter, and third one is humus or transformed product. And remember that humus has two components. One is humic substances, other is non-humic substances. Remember, humus also contains some non-humic substances, and some are humic substances. You will see what are humic substances, what are non-humic substances. So you can see non-humic substances consist of carbohydrates, proteins. They are result of decomposition, and they are part of organic matter. Carbohydrates, proteins, amino acids. I told you amino acids are produced. Your carbohydrates are also produced when you get decomposition of organic matter. Fats are there, waxes are there, and low molecular weight organic acids are also there. So these are part of non-humic substances, and they are readily attacked by microbes. So they are temporary, very temporary, and they are readily attacked by microbes and rapidly decomposed because they are simple compound. Microbes would love them and they will quickly act upon them. If it is sugar, they will love to break it down and make glucose. Can be synthesized by microbes or arise from modification of similar compound in the original debris. So one thing is that you get non-humic substances from the decomposition. But another important thing is that certain microbes can resynthesize them. Microbes can also make certain organic acids. They can also make amino acids, and they can leave it into the soil. So these non-humic substances can come directly from organic matter, but they can be resynthesized by microbes, and that can become. So it is really very complicated story of things happening in the soil. Then humic substances. Humic substances, it is clear, they are also part of humus, complex organic compounds with large molecular weight and relatively resistant to microbial attack. You have seen non-humic substances, fat, carbohydrate, all can be quickly acted upon by microbes. But here, humic substances cannot be easily broken down by microbes. They can remain stable for decades. So mostly responsible for cation exchange. These humic substances will be helpful in cation exchange and interaction with soil applied pesticides. So certain these humic substances will interact with soil applied pesticide. We have agricultural chemists here, and you see this cation exchange capacity, or cation exchange means what happens. Soil have some colloids, organic colloids and inorganic colloids. Inorganic colloids are clay minerals, and organic colloid is humus in the soil. So humus and clay colloids, certain ions are attached to these colloids, and some are positively charged, some are negatively charged ions. But overall, these colloids have negative charge, and it will attract positive charge, and these are cation. So the process is known as cation exchange. There will be exchange of cations and anions through these colloids from the soil solution, from the exchangeable sites. Certain exchange happens. So that is why it is your cation exchange between soil solution and your exchange sites. Differentiated on the basis of solubility properties. So for humic substances are three in number: humic, fulvic, and humics. So based upon solubility, they are categorized into three: humic substances like fulvic acid, humic acid, and humin. What are the differences in these three? So fulvic acid are low molecular weight, light in color, soluble in both acid and alkali, most susceptible to microbial attack. Means it can remain there for 15 to 50 years. And it can be broken down. It starts breaking after 15 years, and in 15 years it can finish. This is the life of fulvic acid. Then humic acid, it is medium molecular weight and color and soluble in alkali, but insoluble in acid and intermediate in susceptible to degradation by microbes. So it can live for 100 plus years. And humin, maybe more than 150 years. Humin, high molecular weight, dark in color, insoluble in both acid and alkali. So this is very resistant against the degradation, against the decomposition, and most resistant to microbial attack. So it is in sequence that they are resistant to microbial attack. More the humin means you have sequestered more carbon. And now you see in detail the difference in these three, how they are extracted. The traditional scheme for classifying humic substances found to occur in highly alkaline extraction of soil. So you can extract with high alkali the soil and you will find three different fractions. So you get the soil, certain quantity of soil, and you prepare a very highly alkaline solution of alkali, this NaOH, and this NaOH will be used. I do not remember the concentration, it can be found out. And then you have certain concentration of NaOH and extracted. So some will be solubilized, some will be soluble portion, that will be in the liquid, and some will settle down. That will be insoluble insoluble organic fraction. So this insoluble organic fraction in alkali is your humin. So this is highly condensed complex with clays. And then you see soluble organic fraction. It is further treated with the acid pH having very low pH 1, highly acidic. And then it may be precipitated. The precipitated part is humic acid, which is dark brown to black in color, high molecular weight, 300,000 molecular weight, and one lighter fraction, which is soluble. You can see the color, very lighter color, orange, yellow color. Fulvic acid, yellow to red, lower molecular weight, 2,000 to 50,000 is the molecular weight of this. So you can see fulvic acid has got formula, very heavy molecular weight, and then humic acid and humin, it is still scientists need to ascertain. The structure is not known. Now you can see some characteristics of these three materials very clearly. Chemical properties. Fulvic acid, you can see the color, light yellow to yellow brown. This is the color of fulvic acid, the range. Humic acid range of color is dark brown to gray black. And then humin is pure black color. And you see the characteristics, very interesting characteristics, increase in intensity of color. As you move from left to right, fulvic acid, light yellow to dark black. So intensity of the color is increasing. Increase in degree of polymerization. Polymerization means complexity of compounds. 2,000 is the molecular weight in fulvic acid, and it can be more than 300,000 in humin. So as you move from left to right, the molecular weight increases. 45% is the carbon content in fulvic acid, and it can be as high as 62% in humin. So as you move from left to right, from fulvic acid to humin, the carbon content increases. If carbon content is increasing, that means oxygen content is decreasing. You can have 48% oxygen in fulvic acid, but if you go to this humin, the oxygen content can be 30%. Then your exchange acidity, it decreases from 1400 to 500, and decrease in degree of solubility. As you move from left to right, from fulvic to humin, the solubility decreases. Means humin is more insoluble than the fulvic acid. Now you see more characteristics of humus, highly colloidal and amorphous in nature. There is no form, it is amorphous. Surface area and adsorptive capacity are much higher than that of clay colloids. I told you organic colloid is your humus and clay colloid is your inorganic colloid. So here the cation exchange capacity is very high. It can be 200. You can see the cation exchange capacity of silicate clays or clay colloids is 8 to 150 centimoles. Kaolinite have low, and vermiculite and morillonite have very high this capacity. Cation exchange capacity measured in centimole per kg of soil. So, but humus has high, that is 150 to 300 centimole per kg soil. So you can see up to 500, you can see this cation exchange capacity of humus. Higher water adsorptive capacity than clay. So now you can see your soil will retain more water if you have more humus. We have person from agriculture chemicals, he might be knowing it. Humic acids are weakly dissociated and determine the buffering capacity of the soil. Next, you can see the status of fulvic acid and the ratio of humic acid and fulvic acid in different kind of soil. If you have grasslands, so in grassland you have less fulvic acid but more humic acid. Means here in grassland the organic matter present, the sequestered carbon present, most of it is resistant against the decomposition. But in forest soil, you can see the fulvic acid is more, the proportion of fulvic acid is more than the humic acid. That means in forest soil, the decomposition rate of organic matter will be more than the grassland. So therefore, in grassland, you will have more organic matter, more carbon content than forest lands under identical climatic conditions. So grasslands are actually rich in organic matter. So now physical characterization of soil organic matter. How physically you can characterize different components of organic matter. So crop residues, the freshly added matter, particle size is more than 2 millimeter based upon particle. This is a physical characterization. Particulate organic matter, POM, particle size ranges from less than 2 millimeter and more than 0.053 millimeter in size. And it is biologically and chemically active and part of the labile. Labile means easily decomposable pool of soil organic matter. So that is very active organic matter that can be easily attacked by microbes. And then number 3 is humus. Particle size is less than 0.053 and it is good for soil fertility. It holds and releases nutrients and it stores soil moisture. So humus has variety of roles. And there is fourth fraction, that is recalcitrant and or resistant organic carbon, ROC. This is biologically inactive or stable. For example, charcoal, or you have one more biochar. So such forms are recalcitrant, means kind of permanent forms. They will not be attacked by microbes in, they will be there in soil for very, very long time. You can go through this slide, you will read it. This is characteristics of physical characterization of soil organic matter. Please do read this slide. This will understand you last slide in a better way. Otherwise, I will read it. The same, what are the characteristic composition and food? Please read it. I have sent you this presentation. Now, benefits of humus. Just we discussed. So improve soil fertility, nutrient supply and retention. It will supply the nutrients to the crop and it will retain because it is negatively charged overall. It can retain, it will reduce the leaching losses of nutrients. Enhance soil aggregation. It reacts with clays to form aggregation and improve the soil structure. Prevention of erosion. If your soil structure is improved, if aggregation of particle improves, then soil erosion will decrease. Buffering effect. Buffering effect means resistant buffering capacity of the soil. What is meant by buffering capacity of the soil? It is capacity of the soil to resistant against change in pH. So pH of the soil will not change easily. So it buffers, or you can know it buffering. What is buffering capacity of soil? Can anybody tell?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please come. One of you can come. I name Sai, come.
The resistance in the pH, sir.
Male.
Even if you add any aspartate.
Yeah, it is positive. So soil pH, it acts as a buffer, and the changes in pH are countered. It will not allow change in pH. It will help to stop the change in pH, quick change in pH. That is the meaning. Increases cation exchange capacity. Now you see, besides improvement in soil fertility, it can enhance the plant growth. These humic substances can encourage the plant growth directly. So the concentration of humic substances present in soil solution in humid regions, for example, have been found to 50 to 100 ppm are effective in stimulating the plant growth. So they can directly stimulate the plant growth if they are present in soil. So this is very new role of humus. Of course, not new role, but as a student, you might be knowing it first time. that these humic substances present in soil will influence the plant growth. You can see how they can influence the plant growth and at what concentration they can influence. So what they do, accelerated water uptake and enhanced germination of seed. This is the role. I don't know how this role is played, but this is a fact that they will accelerate water uptake and enhance the germination of the seed. Humic acids, so they are acting as a growth promoter. Stimulated root initiation and elongation, enhanced root cell elongation. This root growth is improved, enhanced growth of plant shoots and roots. So variety of plant growth enhancing effects are there if you have sufficient humic substances in the soil. Now you see the composition of organic matter. 50% is in carbon. Carbon is there in organic matter. On an average, these are very average value. 5% nitrogen, 0.5% phosphorus, 0.5% sulfur. Remember that concentration of sulfur and phosphorus is almost same in organic matter, even in plants also. Take any seed, take any straw, etc. Normally, phosphorus and sulfur, they behave like a brother. Their concentration is roughly. I'm not saying that it is always there, but as a student, you can have general idea in your mind that phosphorus and sulfur concentration in different plant tissues, parts is almost same. So 0.5% sulfur, 39% oxygen, 5% hydrogen. This is typical composition of organic matter. However, sometimes you can find 40% carbon, sometimes 58% carbon and so on. So you can see at one particular point of time, as I told you, fresh residues can be less than 10%. Decomposing organic matter, that is active fraction, particulate organic carbon, 33 to 50%, and stabilized organic matter, means out of total organic matter in the soil, 33 to 50% can be in humus form, and 5%, less than 5% is in living organism. Now you see soil organic matter composition of plant residues. So you can see here, if you have, say, a green plant, green matter, in this roughly 75% is the water and remaining is your dry matter. So if you remove the water, if you evaporate the water from the plant material, the dry material will constitute 25% dry matter. And this dry matter, you can see, if you see elemental basis, elemental composition of this dry matter, then 42% is carbon, 42% is oxygen, 8% is hydrogen, and 8% is ash. This ash will contain your all minerals. It contains about 60 minerals, out of which your 13 or 14 essential are there in this ash. So you can see the composition. It is mainly carbon, hydrogen, oxygen is making up more than 92%, and 8% is ash. You can see this. If you see compound basis, this I copied from Vale and Brady book. You can also read from that book. So you can see cellulose is 45%, protein 8%, sugar, starch 5%, lignin 20%, phenols 2%, hemicellulose 18%, fat and wax. At least you can have some rough idea that what kind of compounds are there in organic matter or dry matter: cellulose, protein, lignin, hemicellulose, fats, waxes. These are the compounds. You see elemental basis, it is there on the right side. Now, decomposition of soil organ. Friends, I feel a bit tired now. I will start from here tomorrow. And tomorrow, 11 to now, I will stop share.
Okay, sir.